Well, hey everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my stream. Welcome to another chapter working on this guy here. That there is our F-15 148 scale F-15C by Great Wall Hobbies. We'll roll that intro and we'll get started. Okay. Okay guys, well, as you can see here, I've done a lot of masking on this thing. I've spent probably about 6, maybe 7 hours masking this thing off to get this pattern that we have right here in front of us. I've also done the fins, our stabilizers and our elevators. We got those going on. Those are all done. Basically, just a little recap of what I did. I printed out some pictures of the paint scheme patterns on this guy, so I could cut out and put it down to give me a good pattern to lay these out. Now, as you guys know, the F-15 has that kind of a, that kind of light gray, dark gray pattern. Here's part of it here. That's what's left. I have all my cutouts here from this. This is a template, so all I did was put this down on top here like this, and then I masked around where that was. Nice and simple, right? Yeah, unfortunately, normally you would do this, maybe if you got an airbrush and you do this, you want to have that little bit of a fade, a little bit of a fog. You don't want super hard lines. The real planes don't have a super hard line going around the pattern. It's a little bit of a fade, very, very soft fade. Just a little bit. But I wanted to give this a more modern take, so I wanted to kind of digitize it, to make it more digital. And this is why this kind of looks like it's got a bunch of different jagged edges on it. Let me hit the overhead cam here and we'll see, so you can see a little bit closer. See what this looks like a little bit closer up. As you can see, I kind of did a digital effect to it. So that's what it's going to look like. Kind of. It's the same pattern, but I've done a kind of a more modern take on it to just to kind of give it a little bit of a different look. Okay. So yeah, I thought I'd do something a little bit different. It's still going to be the same pattern, but more modern take on it. That's what I'm going for anyway. I'm going to put that over here. I'm going to put my little fins and everything on a little tray. These are did the same kind of pattern. Obviously we don't do any on the bottom of the elevators, we just do them on the top. So that's those. And then our tail fins, we do both sides on the tail fins, like this guy here. Okay, front or outside, inside, that kind of thing. So the color we're going to be using is, remember last time we used the AK Interactive Aggressor Gray. That's the base color of the plane. This one is the slightly darker gray. This is the F-15 Dark Gray. So I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to use Vallejo's Airbrush Flow Improver to thin it out, also with a tiny little bit of water. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of make sure this is all ready to go. This stuff is fairly thick out of the bottle. It's definitely not ready for spraying with air straight out of the bottle. So I get myself a cup. Maybe a little mixing cup here. I do have my painting cam set up. So hopefully that will work for us and we can get this going here. I want to try and do an equal mix, 50-50 paint and flow improver, maybe even a little more flow improver, and not as much paint. So I want to let's do 25 cc's, also known as 25 milliliters of the flow improver. just up to that first line. I'll do just a little more. There we go. And now we'll go up to 50 cc's. Oh, sorry, that was 2.5 cc's, not 25. So, put this up to 5 cc's now. There we go. Don't need quite as much of this because we're not doing any on the bottom of the plane. And now I want just a little bit of water, just to help thin it a little bit. Just a few drops there. There we go. Okay. If you're wondering why I have this random bottle of water, this is exactly why I have this random bottle of water sitting on my desk. Okay, let's stir this up. Get my new little stir. I'm not using my little flathead screwdriver to stir anymore. I now have an actual stirrer. Okay, that's good. Clean that up. All right, my airbrush I got the compressor already fired up. Airbrush almost ready to go. I am going to be using the smaller one this time, not my big heavy duty spray paint your house airbrush. Okay, we'll change the camera. I might have to adjust the angle on it, we'll see. Change the camera and we'll have a look. Okay, here we are here. I think I got this kind of in the middle so we can watch this. Okay, I think well, we'll just start here, why not? My needle is not put in all the way through. Feels like it's spraying without even. Let's see. That's better. Okay. Oops, my nose came off. Don't take the nose off. It's got to stay on there. So really, I'm just painting the wing now. Doesn't look like much difference right now, does it? Check, the gray almost looks the same. It's very subtle. Very subtle look to it. It's really not much different at all. It's a little difficult to tell that I've actually covered this thing. So That's okay, we'll do a few coats. Such a subtle difference in the gray. It's hard to tell them actually putting a coat down. As I get more coats on it, I'm starting to see the very slight difference in the two colors, but it is still very, very, very subtle. Okay, let's do this other one. Okay, I think we're tape starts to look a little gray, then I know I'm getting some good coverage. So I'm going to put this down here and let that dry a little bit before I do the back of the engine. I'm going to start working on these guys here. Let's get our wings. Go. One. That dry. Okay, we'll let those dry. Let's see, do our engines here. Just want to grab the plane from underneath this. Do another coat here. that's that. Let's give our wings another coat. All right, those are done. I think just one more coat on the engines and then it should be finished. I think that's about it, guys. I think we're going to call that done. Switch the camera. And yeah. Okay. So we have our plane with a lot of paint on it now. First thing I need to do is let this dry for a minute. So while I let that dry, I'll clean up my airbrush. And then we can unmask. Okay, so, oh yes, I forgot. I was just about to clean this up with lacquer thinner, but these AK paints, they clean up with hot water. So you don't have to worry about lacquer thinner. Hot water. So it cleans up good with hot water. That's all you need. So I gotta get myself some hot water. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Okay, airbrush is clean. Just doing the last of my cleanup here. Just to make sure everything's clean. Squirt bottle filled with hot water. We can start unmasking. Actually, what I want to do, I'm going to start unmasking in a sec. Okay, just give me a sec here. Okay. Let's start unmasking. Okay, this is a fun part, right? Everybody loves this part. You spend hours masking, spend 20 minutes painting, and spend 30 seconds unmasking. This, of course, is not going to be that case because I've got to pull off about 1,000 of these tiny little 2mm wide pieces of tape. Now the color difference is very subtle. That is a really subtle difference. Very, very subtle. I thought I'd have a winner here doing these, with the two different colors from AK Interactive. They look different side by side, they really do, but honestly, looking at this with the naked eye, it is such a subtle difference. I barely can tell that I painted it at all in two different colors. That is, yeah, that's like, it's kind of a lot of work for nothing. I kind of want to darken it up a little bit. It's so subtle, it's ridiculous. I don't know. I could try doing another coat on it, but I almost want to add a little bit of black and just darken this color up a little more. I mean, when I look at them here like this, they do look different colors. That's definitely a different shade of gray, but when they're side by side on the actual model, it's really subtle difference, and you can't really see it very well at all. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about it. Because I don't want to unmask it and then decide, yep, I'm gonna paint it again, because that'll be another 3 days of masking. Yeah, even just this alone right here is going to take me a little while to remask that, because it's so hard to see the difference. Yeah. So I'll get back to you on that, okay?
Thousands of tears later.
Okay, so I'm back, and a lot has actually happened since I started unmasking the plane. I was really kind of unhappy with the way it looked, and so I wound up remasking that tail fin, and or the elevator. I wound up remasking it, and I added a few drops of German gray to that, to the dark gray, to the F-15 dark gray. I mixed up another cup and again another like 25 milliliters, and I put about 8 drops of the German gray, darkened it up just a little bit more so that it was a little bit more of a contrast between the light and the dark gray. Whether it's authentic or not, I don't know. I don't think so, but it's good enough, and you can visually see it now. After doing that, I spent about, I want to say about 2 to 3 hours unmasking the 700 plus little pieces of masking tape. After that, I did a gloss clear coat on it, and then I used some of my AK Interactive panel liner for gray and blue camo, and did a little wash over it, made it a little bit dirty looking. Then I laid down a coat of semi-gloss over that. Oh no, sorry. After doing this, let me back up. I did the gloss clear coat. Then I laid down all the decals. I didn't use a lot of decals out of the actual kit. I just found the designations and stuff like that were not really to my liking. So I went online and I ordered a Furball decals kit off of eBay. That showed up in less than a week, and so I was happy about that. And so I was able to use those ones. I used most of the ones from the Furball kit. And then after that was all dried, I laid down a coat of the semi-gloss clear, sealed it all in, and then I painted up all the little aviation boxes and everything in the nose of the plane. And then I laid down some Tamiya flat clear. That is now probably dry to the touch. And I'll change the camera and you can see what we've got. Put my coffee over here. I'll change the camera and you can take a look here. this is our result. Okay. So the nice thing about Tamiya's flat clear, it's still got a little bit of a sheen, as you can see. But you can see this is now a lot darker than it was, and you can actually see it. I'm really happy with that. I can take my air brake off here. You can really tell the difference where the panel liner and my dirtiness, this is just straight, that's just the straight gray. There's no dirtiness to it, and so you can see the difference. But yeah, so you can see that kind of a digital pattern that's on there, very subtle and slight, but it's there, and that's the kind of a difference I wanted to do, and have it a little bit more of a modern look to it, but still have that same original F-15 kind of pattern. Okay, it still goes down the sides on the nose there like it would, and yeah, I got all the boxes painted in there and all that good fun stuff. Okay, I'll just turn it around here so you can see the other side. There we go, just like that. I got the panels here. These are going to go on. Which one is this one? It's going to go like this, in there like that. Okay, you get the idea. This is going to be open anyway, so yeah, there we go. So with that, that's done. I got my tails here. I took a little bit of liberty and made up my own designation, since they don't do F-15s in this particular pattern. I figured I'd do BS as a little, you know, special little designation. And of course it's 001, so yeah, it's there you go. I will say the furball decals, they do lay down nice. They're not too thick, they're nice and thin. They can form very nicely with a little bit of the Tamiya Mark Fit Strong. I love this stuff to make decals behave properly. But the furball decals, really, they don't need it very much at all. They really, once that Mark Fit starts to work, they just go and they suck down to that plastic really nice. And yeah, anyway, so that is that. Painting is all done. Okay, so with the painting done, you might notice I've got a bunch of missiles laid out on my desk here, because I do have to get to those. Those do have to be assembled, even though not really assembled because they're all one piece, but they do have to be painted and decals put on and all that fun stuff. All right, but I do have to take a look at the instructions to actually see what's next, because after all the painting, you know, when you spend over a week just doing the painting on the fuselage, you kind of lose track a little bit of where you were and what needs to be done next. So let's take a look here. I'll change the camera so you can see the instructions. We've got a little bit of lag here for some reason. There we go. So this is all done, intakes on. This is all assembly of everything. We got the engines. Of course, my engines are right here. Engines are all done. They're all ready to be installed. Okay, so there's the engines. Those are done. Next was the tail fin assembly. We did those. So I guess we can install the engines today. We can put those in. Let's take a look at how they fit. They should just slide right in. Got a little bit of a blockage here. That should go in all the way. Ah, there we go. It's just a matter of getting it lined up. So I feel a little bit of it touching here on the inside, so I guess that's where I'm going to put some glue. It's on the inside there. This is a little tricky getting that lined up in there. Once you pull it out, getting it back in. I want to get it to a point where I can just do that. That's exactly what I need to do, like that. Okay. So I take that out. There we go, yeah. Found the sweet spot. Now I can just slide it in and out as I please. Yeah. Okay, glue. I'm going to pull it all the way out, and we'll slather some glue around here. Turn it a little bit. I like to do that to help the glue kind of get in its spot. I already felt it kind of holding, so that's good. There we go. One's in. And my nose came off. That's okay. Remember I mentioned I don't want to glue the nose on, right? Because I want to be able to take it off and see the nice modern radar system. Okay, next engine. Similar, get to a point where I feel a bit of resistance, that's good. So it's going to be good just going in like that. Perfect. Making sure not to go quite too close to the edge on it, because I don't want any glue squirting out. Turn it around. So glue really does act like a lubricant. There we go. Feel a bit of resistance as I turn. That means the glue is starting to stick. And there we go. We've got our two engines in. Just like that. All right. Engine's done. Just going to put in over here for a sec and take a look at what's next. Next is our canopy. We need to assemble the canopy. Okay, which means I actually got to take it off the fuselage. I have this held on with some blue tack, so let's finally, now that all the painting's done, let's remove this. I know I'm going to have to repaint the my dashboard. So we can take this off. There we go. I had a little bit of a oops there. I took some tape off and pulled the paint with it at one point. So anyway, let's work on our canopy. So I can undo this, get this guy off of here. And we'll see if I had any tape decide, or any paint, try and, let's close this up. Whoa. See if I had any paint decide to try and creep under. Well, looks like I'm going to have crisp lines, at least so far. That's why I do like the Tamiya tape. In my younger days, when I used to build models as a teenager, I didn't know anything about Tamiya masking tape. I used to use just regular hardware store masking tape. And I used to get paint bleeding through all the time. If I didn't take the time to burnish the edges of the tape, I'd get paint bleeding through all the time. It was always a constant problem. I just realized I'm doing this off camera, and I want to do this on camera so you guys can watch. There we go. Needs a little bit of a polish from all the tape in there. But looks pretty good. Okay, not bad at all. Yeah, looks good. Okay, do the front one. There we go. It's the front one. I got a little goober right here, almost like I've got some kind of white right there. Almost like the primer wanted to bleed through, but the paint didn't. But anyway, it looks pretty good. I'm not going to complain. That looks pretty good. You can see there's two little white dots right there in front of my finger that I'm pointing. Look at it right there. See the little white dots? I'm not sure what that is because I didn't use white, so I'm not sure. Maybe if I can. I'm going to put a little bit of gray panel liner. I'm going to put a little drop of my Tamiya gray panel liner. Just a tiny little drop there. Well, as tiny as I can get with that anyway. Right there. Just wipe that away. I think that did the trick right there. That fixed it right there. No more little white line. Perfect. Okay, so let's see what we have to do here. We gotta get our T tree, T13, T10, and T7. To get those, so let's grab those off of our T tree. Let's find those. Here we are. There's our T tree right there. So, obviously I've pre-painted these black, but of course when I take them off the sprue, probably gonna have to touch them up. Looks like this guy's undergated. Okay. And this little guy here. And this guy here, our little ring. All right, there we go. So undergated means our little nubs off of the sprue, it was actually connected under here. Instead of on the edges. So we got to clean those up on this side. If you don't get these smooth, it's not going to sit down flat on the plane when you try and close the canopy. Now you guys know, if you've watched my channel, I normally don't glue my canopies down because I like to be able to remove them for just to be able to look at the cockpit, inside the cockpit, freely later on. This one, however, I am going to glue the canopy on. I'm going to glue the canopy open. So it's a little bit of a variation from what I normally do. Carefully just making sure these are smooth and flat. But you got to be careful on these two little edges. Okay, let's check this guy out. There we go. These thin parts, you got to be careful on how much pressure you put on with the knife. Especially if, like my knife, after doing all the cutting for the masking tape, my knife isn't as sharp as it was a few days ago. That actually came off pretty clean. Okay, let's see how this goes together. Looks like, so this has a little bit of detail. I don't know if the camera's going to be able to show it. We've got a little bit of detail on the inside here that's supposed to go towards the inside of the canopy, okay, and face the pilot. I think it's supposed to be your rear view mirror detail. So I'm going to scrape away my paint. I'm not going to bother painting these chrome. Normally I'm just going to do this so you can see. There you go. Can you see that? Is the camera going to show you that? That's the detail you see on the inside of it there. Your three mirrors, those are supposed to go this way, facing this direction. Okay? And they show that going right on the very tip. They actually show holes, but there aren't any. So, this guy's supposed to go like that. Where does this piece go? This piece goes in this little slot right there. That little notch is supposed to go right there. Okay, so put a little glue right there. You can pick them up. Goes right there. Okay. Looks like that. This goes in here. It's going to drop in like that. This is supposed to go against the glass. Like that. Should be touching. So with that sitting in there like this, I'm going to get my extra thin. And run that around the edge. Little drop here. This actually should sit down flush in there. And hold that down. There we go. When you look at this edge here like this, it should be flat, should be nice and flush. Nothing sticking out. Just make sure that you shouldn't have to press too hard. The fit is very, very good on this. You shouldn't have to really clamp down on it. It should fit nice and flush, nice and flat. So now we have this piece in here that's got to go in there. Again, with our mirrors facing towards the pilot. See if I can drop this in here. There's a little bit of a ridge for it to sit in. There is just the slightest little notch for it. And I got it. It's in its spot. Perfect. Over here. Here. Just like the rest of it, this should be flat. When you look at this edge, this face, that should be flat. You shouldn't have anything protruding. Okay, and again, the bottom shouldn't have anything protruding. You want everything nice and flat and flush. Okay, and that looks good. Okay, so there's our canopy. Now a couple of spots I should touch up with the black paint. Right, my Tamiya flat black, that should get touched up on there. This guy should be flat against the glass. At least it looks like it's supposed to be flat against the glass. If it's not, then oh well. You know, that's a little detail that I don't think I even have on my Tamiya 132nd. Canopy. I don't think that's even there. So that's kind of interesting. Okay. Now, of course, if you're going to have the canopy closed, you're supposed to cut that little piece off, this little nub that's sticking down. If your canopy's closed, you're supposed to trim that off. Okay. Now, next is the air brake. Air brake. If you're going to have it closed, you got to cut the little nubs off of that. That's these little guys sticking down here. Trim those off if you want to have your air brake closed. I'm going to have mine open, so I'm going to leave those. And so I need to get F7, the little shock that goes in there. So I gotta grab my F tree. On my F tree, I should have a little shock. Here's my F tree. There we go. There's my number 7, my F7. That guy there. I don't want this unsightly nub, so that needs to be cleaned up. And this is a cylinder, so this should be silver or chrome. I'm going to get rid of this seam line right there a little bit. And I'm going to use my Molotov, and we're going to paint our chrome. This little bit that just happened to flow right out on me. I like using the Molotov on these shocks because it really is like a really great equivalent to chrome. But because Molotov is an ink, and so it never really hardens. You can't really touch it. If you touch it, then it, I mean, you can touch it. You can touch after a couple of hours, you can touch it and it'll be fine. But if you happen to press on it or you smudge it, it basically just turns it silver and you lose the chrominess to it. Chrominess, is that a word? I don't know if that's an actual word, but yeah. Let's move my little parts out of the way so that I've got some room here. So I'm feeling a little cluttered on my desk with all of these parts lying around. So I gotta clean my airbrush now. This is not an airbrush. I need to clean my brush. I definitely don't want to accidentally splatter thinner on my nicely painted parts. Okay. So, we should install our air brake. F7 needs to go into this hole. I'm going to do a dry fit. Try not to touch my fresh chrome. It seems to be pretty tight, so I'm going to scrape some paint off of the tab as best as I can without touching my freshly painted chrome. It might not be the paint that's interfering with it, it might be this little bit of a parting line that's on there, the seam line. That's kind of preventing it. Plus there's probably paint in that hole. So anyway, I'll just scrape away on this a little bit. I suspect it's more about the parting line on the mold that's preventing it from going in. Okay, let's try this now. Yeah, now it goes in. There we go. I'm just going to do a test to see how this lines up. Whoops. It's got to go into... It looks like we got two holes, so I don't know which one Looks like it's supposed to go into the lower one. So even though it looks like there's two holes, it's supposed to go into this one, this lower one here. So if I put this in, yeah, it should line up all right. It's supposed to go in right there, like that. Okay, so let's do this. Glue on here, and glue on there. Put this in. Glue on these little tabs. And we're going to try and line this up. Doesn't quite line up. This is where you need a third hand. A third hand here would be great. I got it. She's in. Of course, I don't have a third hand, so there we go. Our air brake is in. Just like that. All right. That's done. I'm not going to glue the canopy down yet. The canopy is going to be like the last thing I do. Okay. So with the air brake in, I don't want to risk knocking it and breaking it off as I'm doing other things. So we're going to backtrack, and I'm going to put our tail fins on. Okay. I have my tail fins all painted. I showed you that earlier, and it's all dry. It's nice. Okay, there's one. Here's our other one. So this one is our left side. Now there's a little bit of play in them. You get a little bit of play. So once you glue it down, just kind of hold it as vertical as you can. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the tab and maybe a little bit of glue on the face here. Okay. And then if I need to do it later, I'll put some extra thin on the inside. Just a little bit along this face here. Glue that down. I got a little bit of extra squeezing out. And I'm not going to bother trying to I just want it straight. Holding it as straight as I can until that glue kind of sets a little bit. Sometimes gravity helps. So it does want to kind of sit facing inward a little bit. So just leave it like this for a moment and let that glue kind of just do its thing. While I'm doing that, I'll take a sip of my coffee. Okay, I think that's going to hold now. Nope. It wants to flop around. It's still going to flop. So we're going to try a piece of tape. I don't normally try and tape my tail fins straight, but we're going to give this a shot because I want it straight. That's pretty straight. Okay, let's do the same with this guy. It's always a little easier when you get both of them on there. It's a little easier to get them lined up. This one sits in just a little bit tighter, and so it wants to sit pretty straight just on its own, which is nice. That's the thing with F-15s, your wings, your tail fins got to be straight up and down. You know, working on an F-14 or an F-18 where they're angled like, you know, they're wink like this, you don't want that with your F-15. F-15's straight up and down. Okay, those are holding. That's great. So now that's going to give me some support here if when it comes to putting on our landing gear and everything, I can have the plane upside down and I can use the wings as supports for the back. I say wings, but they're tail fins. Or what do some people call them? The control surfaces. Okay, anyway, looking at our book, we'll look at, now we've got that in, got our air brake on. Next is going to be landing gear. But I think, guys, this is where I'm going to leave it for today. We're going to do the landing gear next time. We're going to get all this landing gear done. We're going to do that next time, okay? So I'm going to let this dry probably for a good hour or two, something like that, maybe even a day. I might just wait till tomorrow and before I start playing around with turning this thing upside down and putting it on its head. We're just going to let those tail fins dry, nice and solid. I'm not going to touch it for a while. Next time we're going to look at the landing gear. So I want to thank you guys for watching and thank you for coming out. And thank you for the comments. The one guy commented about all the different F-15C kits out there on the market and their level of detail. That's a really informative comment. I didn't even think of Hasegawa. When I thought, okay, I want to do an F-15C and I don't want to do the Tamiya kit, my mind went to Great Wall Hoppy. I didn't even consider Hasegawa. So yeah, maybe in the future I'll consider a Hasegawa kit and see what their detail's like. Having done the Revell kit many years ago, I remember I was not happy with the way it fit together and everything like that. So Revell's not even on my radar. Anyway, yeah. Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for watching. Thanks for all the support, and we'll see you all in the next one.